It's 2:30 a.m. and the alarm is jangling. We rise and quickly dress and head outside to the front of the hotel where the van is waiting. An infinity of stars twinkle above us, and we quietly pull out of the compound into the ancient city of 1,000 minarets. The pyramid complex is just down the road, and we can soon see the looming colossal silhouette of the Great Pyramid as the seven of us slowly approach the Giza necropolis under a phosphorescent sky. The parking lot is empty, and a single guide stands waiting for us. Silently, we begin to walk along the long causeway towards the north side of Khufu, which is the oldest and the tallest of the three pyramids on this rocky Giza plateau. Because the country had been emptied of tourists for several months, we are utterly alone at the site. We ascend a flight of granite steps and enter, eyes wide with wonder. We descend a sloping corridor that's lit with small fluorescent fixtures that buzz intermittently. We then begin moving upwards along a passageway that leads to the Queen's Chamber, whose dimly lit entrance lies about 40 feet away. We keep moving, guided upwards, our breath and shuffling feet echoing against the ancient walls. We begin to climb a steep, plank-like stairway. Up and up we climb, 500 feet up into the Great Gallery, which is a slanting and starkly beautiful room unlike anything I've ever seen. Our final route into the King's Chamber is narrow and extremely smooth, and we half walk, half crawl through this final, mysteriously constructed corridor. At the end is an opening, and we each stand straight, eyes blinking, looking around. The first thing I notice is the massive blocks of granite, smooth black granite that rises up 28 feet to a ceiling that's cantilevered and comprised of enormous slabs. It's eerie and beautiful. Across the room is a pink granite stone coffer. We begin to move around, following our own impulses. No one says a word. I run my hand along the walls and notice a subtle slope towards the ceiling. I wonder if there is an immaculate function associated with this strange room. The seven of us come together and stand around the stone box, silently contemplating its purpose. I am wondering why one of the corners has been blasted away. So many questions. We each climb into the coffer, laying there for a few moments. When we exchange glances, there is excitement. As I lay in the enormous stone container, I look up at the faces of the women with whom I've been traveling for 2 weeks. We've shared an extraordinary journey in a strangely ancient land. We are reminded that the lights are on a timer and that we should take our seats on the floor. We light the votive candles we've brought with us and place them in an oval shape on the floor. We raise our voices together in a unified tone and begin to relax and focus our thoughts. When the lights suddenly turn off, I lay back and take in the new sensations that the pitch-black darkness has ushered in. I begin to feel my body merging with the stone floor and the space above me opening up. I become aware that I am rising upwards, and I am quite clear that something corresponding is dropping as I rise, like a seesaw. We become aware that it's time to leave, and slowly we make our way through the tunnel and then down through the Great Gallery. We finally reach the stone corridor leading to the exit of the pyramid. I can see a man standing ahead and a bright morning light pouring through the entrance. I turn back, looking where I'd just been. I am amazed by this place and feel a deep sense of buoyancy. I step into the blinding desert sun. I walk down the steps, and as I reach the plateau, I turn back and gaze at the pyramid. Wow! Wow! I find my fellow travelers and we pose together for a few final pictures. The time has come to leave this beautiful country and fly back to the States. 12 years later. I think the magic is the silence contained in that room, and what those four walls have seen, have heard, have held, just an unfathomable container of individuals of earthlings who've come through. Napoleon, Jesus Christ apparently came into the Great Pyramid, and who knows how many other illustrious souls have wondered about it and come in as I did. We were in there for several hours, and I did lay back, and I remember seeing what felt like an infinity of space rising above, just star-filled blackness. Initially, I assumed that I had received a download. And I thought that for a long time until just very recently. A person that I follow talks a lot about the harmonics on the Giza Plateau. There is a kind of energetic vortex that is known to be located in the Giza Plateau, where it's considered to be the center of the earth. If you've heard of ley lines, all ley lines begin, they say, on the Giza Plateau. So energetically, it's a powerful spot. So I think that is also in play as an influencing factor around what happened to me. Initially, I saw my experience as sort of random and temporary, but I'm not so sure about that either, because of the enduring influence that that trip has had on my life, especially the drawings I've been making over the past 2 years of the deities from the temples. That indicates to me that the effects of the pyramid are still being felt inside my psyche, inside my soul. It's a very mysterious experience that I've been having to kind of manage. I think that some new life was breathed into my body, and it took many years. But I think that that experience in the King's Chamber has been life-changing for me in a lot of really positive ways. It hasn't given me an easy path, but it's given me a powerful path to follow. It caused me to have the confidence to really question the establishment's insistence on certain timelines and certain individuals and certain storylines. And all that I have found out and discovered really runs in opposition to the sort of official versions. I feel like I'm on this path of questioning. And I think because it's such a giant unknown, it's such a body of information that historians can make stuff up. One of my gurus says, no one knows the truth, so don't worry about not getting it right. And that was sort of freeing to hear that, because you worry about not having the facts straight or not having the context properly thought through, you know. Is there a right way or a wrong way of talking about ancient Egypt and these characters and its ancient spirituality of reincarnation and resurrection? But, you know, it feels more and more relevant to my background as a Christian. The characters, what I'm learning about Magdalene and Yeshua, having been in Egypt and possibly having returned, what I've learned about Isis and how influential she is for so many men and women across the globe. And she's more modern day than some of these more esoteric figures like Neith-Hotep or even Sekhmet the feline, who feel further and more abstract and remote than a character like Isis, who feels a little bit more contemporary. And yet even Isis is always only depicted as having wings. She was an alchemist. She brought her husband back to life. I mean, these are extraordinary characters in time. And who to draw from, who's available to ponder more deeply. I mean, my relationship with Yeshua has deepened through my learning about Magdalene's affiliation with the cult of Isis, which was a cult associated with resurrection. And isn't that what happened to Jesus? Isn't that what happened to Yeshua? And was Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, not his partner in that experience? I mean, we all know that on Easter morning, when we're told the story of Yeshua or Jesus being found in an empty tomb, that it was Magdalene who discovered that and told the rest of the disciples. I think Magdalene's role might have been more significant than the Gospels let on. So it's been really interesting for me to find my way back to Yeshua through Isis, through Magdalene, and through the unique history that Egypt holds for us all. I think this story is important because it can be traced forward in time to all of our modern day ideas of living. I mean, one clear example is the omnipresence of the obelisks in our communities, in our cities. They're on the Washington Monument, they're the Bunker Hill Monument in Boston, they're the Bank of America building in Atlanta, and always nearby there's a dome of some kind. That's an ancient system of male and female being present in the founding fathers' architecture of the cities, the original cities of our country, of our America. And the presence of the obelisk in Central Park, the determination to have these obelisks be present in an official way across the landscape has not gone unnoticed. And I think there's a story there that we've sort of been taught to overlook. I think it's very important. So I think it matters in that sense. The enduring symbology of the iconic structures associated with ancient Egypt remains a part of our landscape. There is so much to learn. I think when I decided to do an Akashic reading, and I was told that I had 6 previous lives in Egypt, that I was the teacher of children, that I was a devotee and a sort of a student of Tabuti, aka Thoth, and I was like, oh wow, I had a past life in Egypt. Well, maybe that makes sense. I don't know. It's something that has happened to me that has changed the course of my life, and I feel so lucky that that has happened to me. I love a good mystery. I love provocative, taboo topics that people don't know a lot about but wonder about and don't really have access to additional information about. And I just am so happy to sort of hold space for these questions and try, like so many others are trying, to connect the dots. One thing that I want to add, I made this film and it meant a lot to me to empower viewers to reclaim the body as a temple. While I was making the film, I felt that there was a connection with ancient Egypt that was not something I fully understood yet. And I think I'm still sitting inside that question mark, is the connection between the breast archives and the ancient knowing of that land, of that culture. And I hope that it's revealed to me someday.